Let's bring in Bret Baier, special report anchor. It's interesting, Bret, because she kind of was trying to please everybody here. She said that she wants to raise salaries, but lower the price of food and other items. And as a lot of economists would say, very difficult to do both of those.
Yeah. Trace, it's interesting to listen to a repositioning here, almost like Vice President Harris hasn't been part of the Biden-Harris administration or not part of the deciding vote for the $1.9 trillion that was added to the economy that a lot of people say sped up inflation and caused some of these problems. She is now trying to separate herself, or at least be different than the Biden economic plan and Bidenomics. Interestingly, the first effort out of the gate is to the left of President Biden, with an effort that she says would go after price gouging. I was saying this before she started, that there are a number of economists, obviously on the right, but definitely on the left too, who have concerns with some of these plans. Obama economist Jason Furman said that the Harris proposals are misguided, and he added, and this is a quote, "Hopefully they won't matter. This is not sensible policy, and I think the biggest hope is that it ends up being a lot of rhetoric and not reality." You know, grocery stores on average have a profit margin of about 1 to 2%. It went to historic lows in 2023 at 1.2%. So going after the corporations for price gouging raises a lot of questions about supply chain and the supply that would be left. Then when you talk about housing, it sounds great to give everybody $25,000 for first-time homeowners to go after down payments. But does that lead to the prices of homes going up $25,000? And the real crisis is about supply in housing. So there are real questions in the specifics of these plans, but it's packaged in a way to be a very progressive pitch, again, to the left of President Biden when it comes to the economy. And we'll see how it's digested over time.
Yep.
Bret, it's Jillian. It was a progressive pitch, and what we saw today from the vice president is not just a stark policy contrast with the plans laid out by former President Trump, but a stark vision of a wildly different economic reality and just reality in general. She took care to point out today that she sees the supply chain issues that started plaguing this country during COVID as largely, if not completely, fixed. She said it's all better now. 2 days ago, we heard the former president talk about how he sees them as being worse than ever.
Yeah, there's a disconnect there, too. Also, when she talks about former President Trump's plans to raise taxes, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about tariffs on other countries and their products coming in here so that the U.S. Succeeds. I do need to give the vice president credit and the administration credit for the negotiation on pharma and drug prices. They have had success on big specific medications and bringing those prices down in negotiations that you heard from President Biden just yesterday. She tapped into that as well. But again, there is this dance of getting away from Bidenomics, creating her own vision, and yet accepting some of the positives that she wants to claim as the strongest economy in the world. So I think we're going to see a lot of this in Chicago next week.
Yeah, I'm wondering how this plays politically, Bret. I mean, you know, it's interesting because you talk a lot, and economists talk a lot about price controls. But if you go to a state like Pennsylvania, which one of the primary industries in Pennsylvania is agriculture, and you talk to farmers, the last thing in the world that farmers want to hear are the words price controls.
That's right. And it's just not something that a lot of people, we're talking about economists here, but really people on the street. It hasn't worked. President Nixon tried it. I remember Don Rumsfeld, former defense secretary at that time in the Nixon administration, was running price controls and just said it didn't work. Other countries have tried it. It didn't work. So how it's implemented, again, to Jason Furman's point, you got to go through Congress, and it just might not be realistic. The other thing is striking to hear the vice president talk about cutting red tape and cutting regulations. I mean, that, again, is taking from former President Trump's speech. And it's tough to imagine that the person in 2019 who wanted to to ban fracking and ban plastic straws is now going to be the champion of cutting red tape and cutting regulations. But maybe that transition is happening. We'll see.
Yeah, and it's notable, by the way, she put up a lot of that red tape in California while she was the Attorney General in some of those regulations. Bret, thank you for joining us. We very much appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.